as well as Turkey, there's not really about democracy. One might mention Russia and Vladimir Putin. And one of the extraordinary things is the way Putin has become a hero of all things of the Polish right. And that is the, okay, the American right, that's astounding enough, but a nationalistic Russian leader is the hero and actually funds the Polish right. It is beyond my ability to understand. But Putin is a kind of representative of hard nationalism, also homophobia, and a whole series of the other conservative social attitudes. So he's the perfect leader for this whole thing. But the question was about Turkey, and then the second question in a way links to it in a way. The Islamic world has been going through its own problems with the modern world. In a way, you can see ISIS as a kind of extreme form of what's going on in the West. That these are people who hate modern values, they resent the rise of women, they're ferociously, well, they're not national, well, they have a concept of nation which is different from the European model. They're passionate, fanatical about defending a territory, they don't believe in reason. And even more generally, ISIS is an extreme form, but more generally in the Islamic world, there's a lot of feeling of discomfort about what modernization has done to them and to their relations between the genders and the way in which sacred things are treated. So it's part of a similar kind of pressure. It's part of the same phenomenon of discomfort with what's happening to us in a globalizing world. They're probably more worried by American bombs than by American goods in the shops, but it's similar in that respect. And so in Turkey, one can say, yeah, okay, it's very prosperous, but it's got this phenomenon. Well, the same in Denmark and Norway, actually. Norway is extremely prosperous, but it's got an extreme right-wing party actually in the government now. The economic insecurity is only part of it. People can be very secure economically, but still not be happy with the way the world's moving. Also, because Turkey is under enormous pressure from refugees. Just got to walk around Istanbul, you're aware of just how many people that there are who come flooding into that country. Millions more than we experience in Western Europe. So I think similar pressures are there, actually. And it is interesting that I do think sensitivity to Islamism, not just terrorism, Islamism in general, has been very important in galvanizing the far right in the Western world. It's true, Alternative für Deutschland was a very technocratic kind of thing about the role of the euro. Then they discovered Muslims, and they became a big party. In Italy, Movimento 5 Stelle started as a kind of anarchistic left-wing protest movement. And Beppe Grillo, the former comedian, who was the leader of it, but the founder of it, he refused to be the leader, was an anarchist seen as being of the left. One of the main supporters, a man who died last week, Dario Fo, another on the anarchist left. But then they discovered Muslims and what you can do with that theme in Italy. In the European Parliament, they sit with you. Beppe Grillo issued a statement welcoming the election of Donald Trump. So the Islamic issue somehow is able to, it's got extreme sensitivity, and you don't have to be economically deprived at all to respond to it. The relationship between neoliberalism and this new right is very problematic, and they will get along, because if we're talking about the very rich, it doesn't matter what regime's in power, they find ways of milking it, right? And so They will do that, and Trump will have lots of government contracts to give to people who are nice to him. But it is true, the Koch brothers, the great bête noire, the libertarian neoliberals who founded the Tea Party, who controlled right-wing politics for years, refused to give Trump any money at all. They said, this is not our agenda. We are liberals, he's not a liberal. Now, in the US Congress and Senate, it will be there will be compromises, and the Republican Party is trying to contain these tensions, because partly, as I think you suggested, you have neoliberalism at home and protectionism abroad. So you cut taxes for the rich at home, but you make a big fuss about how you're not letting the Chinese goods into the country, although actually that's going to be extremely difficult to deliver. It's a bit more difficult for the British, because you can't fudge coming out of the European Union. You either come out with some kind of trade relationship or you don't. And so there is a kind of I gave it to you, the neoliberal interpretation of Brexit, and that is it's liberating us to face globalization without any protection. That agenda, and I suspect that will be the agenda that triumphs. So that will be a victory of neoliberalism within the xenophobic right. But then it will then have enormous problems with its support base, because that's not what people thought they were voting for. People in the northwest of England didn't say, yeah, we need more Chinese competition, as you asked for. They thought, well, the opposite. Well, yes, I'm not really a specialist, because once you start talking about reasoning and emotions and how these work in the human being, one is getting into psychological areas where I'm not competent. One can simply say, as a political observer, that both of these have to be engaged. And drive either one of them out of politics, and you're in danger. So one never really should have been advocating a complete triumph of reason, because reason doesn't tell you how you feel. I mean, politics is about values, which values are emotions informed by reason, refined by reason. But underneath it, there's got to be a passion, a motivation of some kind.